My fiance and I were living in New York City, and we were working from our computers, so we could work from anywhere. When you're in second or third grade, you raise chickens in the classroom, and when they hatched there, I just decided to take them home, and that's really how we started our chickens. We were basically we had an organic farm before that was a term, before you could actually be certified. So we went with Organic Valley to pick up our milk, and we've been with them for over 20 years now. I would say a lot of what we do is inspired by Joel's Health and Style poultry and how we manage the pastures here.
Yeah. If you were to give advice to anyone who might be in a similar situation, whether it's on a farm full-time or transitioning, different lifestyles, what advice would you give them based on your experience? Okay, so today is a huge contrast from yesterday. It was pouring rain during our farm tour. We thought it was gonna stop, it never did. And then today it's beautiful blue skies, barely a cloud, and the sun is awesome. So here we are. We are at Cobblestone Valley Farm. Mm-hmm. You're Casey. Yep. And this is what did you call it? Diversified?
We call it a diversified organic dairy.
Okay, what does that mean?
So that means the main thing that we do is the dairy, but then we have a bunch of other enterprises that kind of all interlink with each other. So right now you can see the dairy herd grazing. So this is the first time that they've been on this clover pasture. Okay. And everything that you're seeing around here are different paddocks that we break up so that they come out in the morning, they graze everything down, they go back in to be milked, and they come out at night on a new paddock to graze everything down. So the main effort of the farm is the dairy, but then we have pastured poultry, laying hens, pigs, and my brother's starting some sheep and a couple other things that all kind of work together.
How much acreage do you have here?
We have about 600 acres.
Wow.
Total, and probably 300 that are tillable.
Are you using it for tillable ground then?
There's some parts that are more swampy that we're not actually able to use, but most, I would say, in terms of grazing pasture, it's about 120 acres, and then the rest will grow different crops for the cows to eat during the winter.
I want to talk about that then, because a lot of people are interested in feed and where it comes from. So are you growing the corn for silage? Yep. And are you doing like oats and wheat and other things?
Yeah, so we've got one bag of haylage. So that was just grass that we mowed and chopped up and put in the ag bag. And then we have some corn that we've planted. We have, over there we have a oat and clover field that we'll mow and bale up and feed to the cows. So we do buy some hay as well, because we can't grow it all ourselves for the amount of animals that we have, but everything that we buy is from like a couple miles away, from either down in Cortland, so it's like 10-15 miles away, or just up the road in Tully.
And how many animals or how many cows do you have at least?
Right here, in terms of the dairy, we're milking just under 60.
Wow.
And we probably have just as many young stock, and then the beef herd is about 40
beef head?
Yeah, 40 beef head.
Awesome. So with the dairy, and if you don't mind, I'd love to see your barns too. Sure. I know they're not in there right now. A lot of the dairies, the big dairies that you see, the cows maybe are out on pasture, but they're not being moved like this. And otherwise they're just in a barn all the time on sand or on their amazing little Serta beds in their stalls. So what made you guys, or when did it start that you wanted to start doing them in a rotational grazing system?
My brothers and I are 5th generation on this farm. So we've pretty much always been doing dairy. We've done a couple other things in the past, cabbage and different things, but the cows have always gone out on pasture. But in 2001, we started the transition to become certified organic for the dairy. In order to be certified organic, cows have to be on pasture for 120 days of the year. The best way to manage your pasture is with intensive rotational grazing. That instead of giving them access to 120 acres all at once, where they pick the best spots and they walk over everything and they compact the soil and make different cow paths, if you give them a more concentrated area, they graze everything down, and then you let it rest for 30 or 60 days, and then they'll come back through that same paddock. So it's just the best way to manage pasture and get the most out of the grass that you have, and it's best for the cows to have them make more milk.
What happened in 2001 that you guys were like, we want to go organic?
We were basically, we had an organic farm before that was a term, before you could actually be certified. So once there became a market for organic products, you get a premium for having organic milk versus conventional milk. So that was what motivated us to, transition to become an organic farm. So there were a few different people doing it, but we went with Organic Valley to pick up our milk, and we've been with them for over 20 years now.
Oh, now I understand your sign out there, the Organic Valley sign.
Yep.
So, and you said the milk truck's coming today.
Yep.
So you sell in bulk to Organic Valley.
Yeah.
So if someone is buying Organic Valley milk, part of it is coming from your farm.
Yeah, a little bit. If they buy it around here, because everything is regionalized, a little bit of it will be from our farm. Yeah.
Wow.
So Organic Valley is a cooperative model. So there's over 1,600 farmer members across the country, and there's a bunch of them, 100 or so in this northeast area. They will buy our milk in bulk, like you said, and then they call it a marketing co-op. So they'll buy the milk, and then they have all the marketing operations to get it into grocery stores and actually sell the milk and build the brand and sell it at a premium.
I'm curious then, because a lot of the reasons why people go like to the regenerative model and then they take a step further and go to like directly to consumer markets. Mm-hmm. What is it about Organic Valley that makes it better for you right now? Why aren't you just going direct to consumer?
We've been with them for a long time, and they've always treated us well. Okay. The main thing is they offer a much more stable price for your milk versus whatever the conventional market is. So that stability is what it's just nice to have on a farm with so many different types of investments of different levels. If you get a new tractor or a new building or something, so that's why we've been with them for so long. I think the direct to consumer in New York is you can't sell your milk. Like if we were to sell milk, we would need a pretty big investment in equipment to then get it into grocery stores. So there's a gap between okay, you've got however many cows, and then the grocery store needs a certain amount of supply to actually make it worthwhile to be in there. And then for the raw milk too, in New York you have to sell it on your farm. So it would just be a pretty big shift to where we would have to have a lot fewer cows, and we would have to do a lot more marketing to get people on. You would be able to sell it for much more per gallon, but for right now, for the system that we have, it's working pretty well for us.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the reason why I ask is because a lot of people, I even kind of think this too, like, well, you just have a cow and you just milk it and you sell it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more involved in that. And in addition to your other enterprises, right? Like you're also trying to do those too. So they came up to get a drink of water. Are these jerseys? No, not, oh my gosh. Why? What is wrong with me?
Yeah, these are all Holsteins.
Holsteins,
You actually do see one Jersey Holstein cross right there.
Okay, that little brown one.
But in general, we have all Holsteins.
Why Holsteins?
They give a lot of milk.
Yeah.
They give the most milk. My dad has just always had them. A lot of people have Jersey farms around here too. I do think, for our setup, we just have a tie stall barn. We don't have a parlor. Holsteins are a little higher off the ground. Yeah. So they're easier to milk. You don't have to bend down as far. But I think my dad has always liked making a lot of milk, and that's what the Holstein's good for. Yeah.
And when you're running a farm and you're thinking of production, Holsteins give you production, right? You're getting what from a cow, like 2 gallons a day? Or is it upward of 5?
Yeah, it would be 5. I don't exactly know in gallons because everything is by the weight. But, But probably 60 to 80 pounds a day.
Wow. Yeah.
When the grass is really good and everything's going well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you milking year round?
Yeah, we've always milked year round. I think there's pluses and minuses to doing seasonal. In general, if you're doing, like we've been with Organic Valley and they're picking up our milk. If we were to switch to seasonal, it would be more challenging in terms of the milk truck schedule and things like that.
Yeah.
If we had been doing seasonal and then we signed on with something like Organic Valley, they would be okay with it. But yeah, we've just always done it year round.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's awesome. Since you talked about your parlor, can we go check it out real quick? I know we just left there, but before we move on to other parts of the farm, I want to.
Yeah, sure.
I want to see where they're at. That'd be really cool. So, you said that the cows get milked in the morning.
Yep.
They go out to pasture.
Yep.
They come back, get milked. They go back out to pasture. So in the morning, you're pulling them from the field. So really, the only time they're going in the barn is to get milked.
Wow. During the summer,
During the summer, okay. And in the winter, are they barned?
In the winter, yeah. They're pretty much, they do go outside when we clean the barn and everything.
Gotcha.
So, but
But winters up here aren't exactly a breeze.
No, no. It's really nice when they can go outside and feed themselves and get sunshine and walk around. They love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, let's go see the parlor.
Okay.
Okay, so this is actually where we started.
Yeah. So this barn was built in 1910.
Oh, wow.
So it's been in operation for a really long time, and it's a 42 cow tie stall barn. We have 8 milking machines, and all the cows come in here. We put the machines on this little rail, and just go down the barn and milk them.
Wow, so, just 8 at a time, and they just stay in the barn or in their stalls?
Yep, yeah, we tie them up there. That's where they get their feed, so they're happy to be there.
So they've got it on their halter, clipped on, their water's there, they eat their hay.
Yep.
Are you grass-fed, 100% grass-fed?
Not 100%.
Okay.
We do give them grain, so that will increase the milk a little bit.
Yeah, and so I have been in dairy barns before. I AI'd for a while. But for someone who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about how these kinds of stalls are laid out, because you've got the poop trough.
Yeah, the floors are all concrete, and so there's this concrete gutter that goes around, and you can't see it right now. They're probably going to clean it soon. But there's a big chain and metal paddles that will turn on from that electric motor. It'll go up that ramp down there, and that's how we clean the barn. So it's a lot easier than shoveling everything out by hand.
Yeah, so you just shovel it into the gutter and then it comes on out.
Yeah, so when they after they go out, we'll scrape the floor, we'll scrape the stalls all into the gutter, and then it'll just go right into the manure spreader, which is backed up under that ramp.
Where do you put the manure at? Because do you do this every day?
In the winter, we do it every day, sometimes twice a day, and in the summer, every couple days, because they're not in here so much.
Yeah.
But we put all the compost or all the manure into compost windrows.
Okay.
And then we have a compost turner, and people will come and buy like a couple yards of compost for their garden or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we'll also spread the compost on the pastures or on other fields in late fall or during the winter, so that some of that fertility goes back into the soil.
Yeah.
It's not, when the cows are out there eating all the grass, the grass is going to take nutrients from the soil to make more grass, and you have to give it more nutrients, otherwise it's gonna run out.
So you mentioned part of the reason why you guys like Holsteins is because this is the way you milk and they're taller.
Yeah.
So I mean, if nobody's stood next to a Holstein, I mean, if I'm standing here, their tail's about like right here, right? I mean, they're pretty tall.
Yeah.
So you can just come right behind them and put the milkers on.
Yep.
Without really even bending over.
Yeah, it's kind of on the side. So the machine will go in here, and we can look at those if you want.
Sure.
You wash them here and let them let down, and then put the machine on. So you milk one here, and then they'll be done. You just swing the machine over here.
Okay, and then you unplug it and go to the next one.
Yep.
Really cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Why then, and is it just the age? Why are you milking like this instead of in a dedicated parlor?
It's just the setup that's here, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
A parlor would be a pretty big investment, and it would probably make things faster, because you could have 12 machines or 20 machines or 24 machines going. But if we were to do that, running the numbers, we'd probably have to like double the amount of cows that we are milking in order to pay for that.
Yeah.
It takes us about an hour and a half to milk all the cows, so
that's not bad.
it's not too bad.
No.
It's not too bad.
And is it just a one-person job, or is that all of you guys together?
Right now, it's a one-person job.
Okay.
It's a lot easier when there's two, but one is fine.
Yeah.
You can keep a handle on things pretty well.
Yeah.
And make sure none of the machines are squawking or falling off or anything.
Yeah. Can we see the milkers? I
Sure.
think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the milk tank. We can open it up and see if you want.
Oh, yeah.
So there's probably 5,000 pounds of milk in there right now.
Wow.
And the milk truck comes every other day to pick it up. So they just put a hose on there and take it right out the door.
Yeah.
And then this is the whole vacuum system. So
my.
So the silver pipes out there will pull the milk through this pipe and this pipe into, we just call it the bubble. And then there's those 3 metal sensors. Once it gets high enough, this pump will automatically turn on. The milk will come through here, and this is where the milk filter is.
Okay.
So it'll come through here. This is the milk chiller, so it takes it down like maybe 20 or 30 degrees. And then it'll come up through this pipe, which when we're milking, we unhook this and it goes right over to the tank.
Okay.
So that's how it goes into the tank.
When you're not milking, this just goes to the drain.
Yep.
So if you're milking a cow that has been sick or is on some kind of medication, or maybe you're just not putting her milk into the bulk tank, you connect this and it goes in? Or how does that work?
Any of those ones, if there's a cow that, for example, just had a calf, so it's all colostrum, we're not going to put it in the tank, we'll use this. So this we just call it the bucket or the unit milker. So her milk is isolated from the milk that's actually going to be picked up.
Gotcha.
And if there's mastitis or something, we have a quarter milker, so that particular quarter's out. And then if it's colostrum or that mastitis milk, that'll go to the pigs or go to the chickens. Yeah, nothing goes to waste.
That's a good question then with the colostrum. What do you do with the calves?
So the calves are with their mom for usually 2 or 3 days, and then we'll usually put them in a pen. We have like a bulk feeder.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll be on a bottle for a couple days just to get their bearings, and then once they have a little bit more strength, we'll put them in together with 2 or 3 others.
Gotcha.
We do have most of the beef herd, they're just all nursing their mothers. They're all together.
Right.
But for the dairy ones, we'll just keep them separate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So these are the milkers.
Yep. These are all the milkers. It's De La Velle Milkmaster. So right now they're on the cleaning station. So every morning when we come in, we soap and water and clean them up really well. But these are automatic takeoffs. So they have a sensor in the machine that once the milk is below a certain level, they'll just automatically come off. These machines are pretty antiquated. They're probably 15 years old at least. These are made to last.
Yeah.
They can definitely take a beating.
We're now at the home place of the farm, right? This is where your parents live.
Yep.
The highway's right behind us. You said 81 got built in the 50s.
Yeah.
And it cut right through your farm.
Yeah, it cut right through. And my grandpa was farming then, and he wasn't too happy about it. So all the time in the middle of it, he would drive the cows across the construction site and just to do whatever he could to kind of show how he felt about it. But it is tough to have the farm split in half, but in the end, we sell a lot of meat direct to consumer, and we're right off the highway. So instead of being in the middle of nowhere where it's really tough to have people come out, it's actually I think it is an advantage to be so close to so many people. So has again, pluses and minuses.
Yeah. So is this your beef herd?
This is
your beef herd. Okay, so we're at your beef herd, and you said that you are selling meat. So that's part of the other enterprises. You guys have kind of always been a dairy, but you recently have started doing direct to consumer sales. So tell me a little bit about how that branched off and why you decided to do that.
Yeah, it actually started with the chickens, which we'll see. When you're in 2nd or 3rd grade, you raise chickens in the classroom, and when they hatched there, I just decided to take them home, and that's really how we started our chickens. So after that a little bit, we actually moved into the meat birds, which we've been doing for over 20 years now. The first group, I think we did 100 at first. My mom just gave them all away to different people who she thought would be good customers, and that was the first marketing that we did. So kind of word of mouth started from there. And in New York, you can do up to 1,000 before there's another level of 1,000 per year until there's another level of regulation. So we just do like just under 1,000 meat birds. But we were doing the certified organic and pastured broilers, and then at some point someone gave us I think it was a Park White bull, and then we crossed a few of the dairy cows with an Angus, and that was kind of how we started our beef herd in kind of a weird way. But so here we've got there's some Angus, there's some Park White, there's some Murray Gray.
You got all kinds of fun colors out here.
Yeah, a bunch of different ones. And so all the pasture here, which is, I don't know, it's probably about 90 acres, is what they also graze. So it's all 100% grass fed.
And they rotationally graze?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they probably came in here, I don't know, 1 or 2 days ago. They go through everything pretty quick, and then everything over there are the other paddocks that they go to.
So how big is this paddock then that they've been in for a few days?
This one here is probably 3 acres. There's 24 cows here, and then you can see a few of the calves running around.
I probably know this answer, but I'm going to ask it just in case someone else has this question. Why are you moving the dairy cows basically twice a day, but the beef cows are getting moved every couple of days?
There's not as many of them. That's the main thing. It all depends on how they're how they're going through the pasture.
So I guess maybe I should ask, these are permanent pastures?
These are all permanent pastures. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been for as long as I can remember. These have just been for grazing.
So because you're not setting up like step-in posts and putting them in new pastures like that every day, right? Because a lot of people, when they think of rotational grazing or managed intensive grazing, at least that's how we did it. We did the step-in post, the poly wire, and moved them to a new kind of small section every day. But these right here are permanent pastures, and that's how you rotate them.
So there's a permanent perimeter, and then we do put the poly wire up for different sections.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So in this one in particular, there probably was a poly wire like halfway across, and then they took it out, and now they've got the full thing.
Okay.
The full pasture.
I see.
And then there's a laneway there, and there'll be it's kind of like a bigger paddock, and then we break it up into 3 smaller sections.
So the calves that are born for the dairy herd, do they become beef cattle?
No.
Okay.
No.
So do those get sold at like the 3 or 4 day old?
Yeah, the bulls, we don't always get it just in 3 or 4 days up to the auction, but yeah, the bulls will go to auction, and then all of the heifers will raise here.
Okay, so you raise the heifers, all of them. Yep. I see, okay.
And then for the beef herd, it's just, if it's male or female, we just keep them and raise them here.
You checking us out? Hi.
I think she's one who just had a calf.
I was gonna say, she looks a little full.
Yeah.
So you said earlier that you came back to the farm full time 1.5 years ago.
Yep.
Why?
Well, I was in a sales career for about 10 years. When COVID hit, my fiance and I were living in New York City, and we were working from our computers, so we could work from anywhere. You know, New York City was basically completely shut down, and we decided, why don't we move back here? We'll move into one of the houses on the farm, and we'll fix it up and work from home. And as we were doing that, I started to milk in the morning, and then go send emails during the day.
Yeah.
That was good for a while, but there's so much to do here. I just saw everyone out working all the time, and I could help a little bit, but then I had to go in.
Yeah.
And so I figured that anyone could replace me as someone in sales, but I'm probably the best one to work on this farm with my family. So I decided to come here full time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Did your parents have any influence in that? Because a lot of farms start talking about succession planning. Who's going to take over? How's that going to look? How's it going to feel? So did your parents have any influence in that to try to say, hey, we want somebody to come home?
Yeah, I mean, they've always been pretty good about letting me do my own thing. So then it was kind of my decision to come back when I did. Of course, very happy to have some help here.
Yeah.
And they've been. It's on my dad's side that is he's 4th generation on this farm, and he's been doing it his whole life. So he's of course thinking about how to transition things to the next generation. So it's a good. You can't come on, even growing up here and knowing roughly how everything works. I'm still learning new things every single day, and have been for the 1.5 years that I've been here full time. So it takes a while to, I think, learn how everything actually works.
And you said your brother's working at getting into some sheep. So do you have other siblings on the farm too? Is he also on the farm full time?
He lives on in one of the houses on the farm, and he has a job in Syracuse. And then I've got one. So I'm the oldest, he's the middle brother, and then my youngest brother lives in Los Angeles. He's a musician.
Okay.
So I don't know if he'll be back here anytime soon, but my middle brother Blaze, he's kind of just started his career in Syracuse, so I think he has aspirations too, and we'll see what everything brings.
Yeah. Okay, so you said this pasture is really cool because it's got a lot of different things going on. So what's going on here?
We have the broilers, we have our laying hens, we have the sheep, and then back there in the corner are the dry cows. So these are some dairy cows that will have a calf soon. And what we're gonna see once they come out with the chicks, maybe, is that the chicks that are in the brooders for 2 weeks will come out to these bottomless cages here. And
almost like a Salatin style, it looks like.
Yeah, I would say a lot of what we do is inspired by Joel Salatin style poultry and how we manage the pastures here.
Yeah.
These are all slightly different sizes, but they'll be 40 to 60 in here for about 2 weeks. Then they will move into just the poly wire, so they're completely free to roam.
You move them over there.
Yeah.
Okay, why do you do it that way? Why don't you just keep them in here the whole time?
Well, it's first a lot of work to move these twice a day. This is kind of just the transition to get them used to being outside, and they are completely safe in here. And then once they're here for about a week or 2 weeks, and then for the final 2 or 3 weeks, they'll be out in the polywire. So we don't have to move them as much. They actually have more room to roam. It's then also a little bit easier to catch them as well.
I feel like every year we farmed, we had a different style chicken tractor.
Yeah.
So we started with the Siskovich model, and then we went to, like the Justin Rhodes kind of model.
Okay.
And did more open air. And then we had to go to Salatin tractors because the open air was my absolute favorite part. My favorite way to raise chickens. But we had an owl issue.
Okay.
And every single night, that darn owl would take the biggest one.
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't you take a smaller one?
Yeah.
At the very least. So we had to lock them up, but you guys have 3 guardian dogs here, so.
We have 3 guardian dogs as well as the geese. And we have definitely had years where predators are a big problem. The biggest was probably what do you call it? It's not a mink, but a fisher. It's like a big weasel.
Yeah.
You can't really predict when they have a big area that they roam. So it was like once every 5 weeks, they would just like decimate everything. But the geese will wake up the dogs, and then we haven't had any predator problems in a long time. You can see too, these are mostly the broilers, but sometimes the laying hens will come down here.
Okay.
So this is my favorite breed. It's the Golden Polish.
Oh, with the fuzzy heads?
Yeah. When I was a kid, we had the Murray McMurray catalog. And they had just such a cool picture of the Golden Polish. I've always wanted them. So this is Honey. She's really friendly.
Hi, Honey.
I just thought that the picture was so cool. In real life, they're more of a show breed. I don't know if they're not the biggest producers and things like that, but she's really sweet. And then Buster is the male.
Where did you get the idea for these kinds of shelters?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly where these again are
kind of the same thing, just been.
It's like we had these wagons and we needed something to give them shade and some protection, and maybe we saw it in some magazine and we just try to put it together. So these work pretty well. There's probably every couple of days we'll just hook these up to the Kubota and pull them forward.
Yeah.
Because these, even though they have quite a bit of space here, they don't usually go. They're not going to go too far from the feed because they're not a super mobile bird.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just hook them up and drag them one wagon's length forward, and then they've got all their feed and all their water.
So you said in the brooder you have the Red Rangers, but out here you do have the Cornish Cross.
Yep.
So you do raise both breeds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we raise both.
Why?
It's just kind of like a special. It's like we have people that order chickens. Every month we'll do a processing, and it's just kind of like, hey, this is a special red bird. We charge a little bit more for it because it's a little bit of a better product.
Yeah.
And then just something different for people to try out.
Yeah.
And then we're also raising some of the red ones for our wedding. So we have a group for that as well.
Okay, that's awesome. Very cool. So we'll walk out to your laying hens, and while we're walking, I keep having this conversation lately about diversification, and there seems to be a spectrum. There's people who say don't diversify at all, get one, do that. And there's others who say do it all and do it all the time, and then there's everyone in between. So how do you feel like the business management side of the farm goes when you've got quite a few different enterprises going on?
It's always good to have something to sell. If it's maybe it's a really hot year and the pastures aren't growing as much as we'd like and milk goes down a little bit, we still have 1,000 chickens to sell and people coming by to get beef. It all works together. With a little, the extra milk going to the pigs or going to the chickens. It's just a nice setup to have. And I think, that's from the business side. But the main thing that we're trying to do is have the soil be as healthy as possible. So when we are having multiple different types of animals, if it's the pigs coming through one area or the chickens coming through, we're making the soils really healthy so that our grass is really healthy. And if the grass is good and then the soil's good for growing crops, that's how you kind of get the most out of your farm. That's kind of our mentality for it.
Yeah.
It's if you have a couple different things going on, you have different types of customers coming in, and it's also the best way to keep the soil healthy.
Yeah, no, I love that. Because I think some people get stuck on like the stress of managing so many things.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, it's stressful, but then that stress is paid off because also at the same time, it's gonna save me if something kind of goes wrong. And you guys have been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
Like you said, you've got birds, what, like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
So you've had meat chickens for 20 years.
Yeah.
Dairy for generations.
Yeah.
So it's not like you just woke up one day and decided to do everything all at once.
Yeah.
You have built it slowly.
So we have a customer base for the meat and for the chickens and the beef and the pork. So it's a lot of word of mouth. We don't really do, we occasionally maybe something on Instagram, but in general, it's word of mouth.
Yeah.
So it's enough to pay for itself and give us a little bit extra. And then we also get to eat that food as well, which is honestly, for me, the coolest part.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing healthier than the food that you're raising on your own farm.
Right.
When everything is, you just don't know where everything's coming from.
So tell me a little bit about your hen houses, specifically this beautiful masterpiece right here.
So this one we actually built ourselves, and we had one of our friends paint it. This one we purchased from someone else who was getting rid of their flock. But it's a similar model where they've been here probably about a week, and they're at the end of their cycle here, which will move to where the cows have just been.
Over there.
So that's part of that cycle. And we have about 70 chickens, 70 hens, and then some roosters. A bunch of different types of breeds, because we have some Rhode Island Reds, we have Brahmas, some Red Stars, some other ones that are good for laying, some of the Bantams that are just fun to look at. The eggs, we get anywhere between 30 or 40 eggs a day. So it's not the main enterprise on the farm, but it's good marketing to get people to come in and say, hey, we have eggs, and now you can see everything else that we have.
All right, so to kind of finish up your diversified organic dairy, you've got pigs out here.
Yep.
And you said how many are you processing a year?
Right around 20.
20 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And where are you getting them from? Do you have sows?
We don't have sows.
Okay.
We just buy the piglets from a farmer that's, 20 or 30 minutes away.
Okay.
So we get them, and they're usually inside at first because they need to be. We got these guys when it was still cold.
Gotcha.
But now they're outside, and they've got. This is kind of the permanent thing that we have, but we'll set up other spots where they have a polywire.
Okay.
Basically 2 polywires, because they will bust through them.
Yeah.
And they're not easy to catch. So that's why we've got this more sturdy one here.
So they're still kind of fence training,
Yeah.
is what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, you can see they've just had a ton of milk, and they are sleeping in the back now.
So do you consistently feed them milk?
Yeah. All like if it's the extra colostrum or the milk that we don't put in the tank, we'll just put it in here, and they love it. And I think it makes them taste better too. So it's that with a little bit of grain, and then they're just rooting around for whatever they can find.
Yeah.
So they're fun. I think pigs are fun to have.
Yeah.
And people really like, bacon is probably one of our biggest sellers.
Of course.
And then all the ribs and all the pork chops and stuff. So people can buy a lot of times they'll buy a half or a whole pig, or then we just have the retail cuts.
So tell me a little bit before we end here about like your transition and how it's been for you to go from like 10 years in New York City as a sales professional to coming back to a dairy farm.
Yeah.
Kind of, I mean, not really out in the middle of nowhere, but as compared to New York City.
Yeah.
You're out in the middle of nowhere. How has that transition been for you?
Honestly, not that bad.
I mean, you grew up here,
yeah,
right? Like,
I grew up here, and I was always in high school and playing sports, so I would be milking on the weekends or on other times during the week. But I knew how things worked, but I wasn't full time by any means. So I think one of the really fun parts has been, there's actually so much more that you learn when you're doing things every single day. Versus you come in 1 day or 2 days, you learn a little bit, but you don't get to see the whole system and how everything works. So a lot to learn, and it's been really fun to learn coming back full time. I don't really miss a corporate job that much.
Yeah.
The money was nice. That part's a little bit different, but I'm outside all day. I'm with animals all day. I get really healthy food, and I'm active and moving around. So the transition hasn't been that dramatic.
Yeah.
It's been really good.
I love that. If you were to give advice to anyone who might be in a similar situation, whether it's on a farm full time or transitioning different lifestyles, what advice would you give them based on your experience?
Well, I think it would be hard to speak for someone who's never farmed before and wants to get into it, because it would be a massive massive investment to go from that to at least what we're doing. You can always start small and grow from there.
Right.
But I think from the standpoint of agriculture in America and a lot of farmers nearing retirement, if you have an opportunity to be working on a farm, there's always going to be someone who can work a sales job or
AI that can do stuff.
Or AI that can do stuff. It's if you're in an opportunity where you can come to your family's farm or take over like a neighbor's farm or something, there's not a lot of people who are going to do that, and it will be very fulfilling. It'll be a lot of hard work, but for me the main thing is like the health aspect to it. You will have access to the healthiest food possible because you're growing it yourself. You're going to be really healthy, your family's going to be really healthy, and for me that's like the most important thing.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. Thank you, Casey, for bringing me out to your farm and showing me around. This has been so fun. I've learned a bunch, and I've really loved being out here, so thank you.
Thanks for coming.
If anybody wants to find you, we'll put all of your links in the description so they can find those there. And yeah, what a beautiful day to have a wonderful farm tour. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Being able to see a big dairy like this has been so awesome. We are so thankful to be here, and I love the way that they have their hands in many different pots, but they didn't do all of that overnight. This has not been a COVID decision. Not that that's bad or at all, but they've really had time to figure out each enterprise as they've built it up. I think that what they're doing is awesome here, and I hope that you enjoyed the tour as well. We're gonna keep trucking on. We've got so many tours coming up, so much to share with you. If you are liking our videos, which I'm sure you are, share them, comment on them, watch them, just keep doing all of these things that you're doing. Catch me on live streams. We're gonna start doing those every other week, Sunday nights. So I'm gonna hop on live streams. We're gonna start seeing if we can get some farmers on board, replay some of our videos that went out before the last live stream. Just more stuff to keep talking, keep sharing these stories and sharing these awesome farms. We will see you at the next one.